Madam Ambassador, we've seen Xi Jinping give a speech at Davos. We've now seen a summit in Europe, in Brussels, that looks at global trade, a game that ostensibly the U.S. is less and less a part of. Do you see that slipping away from us, or is that all part of the plan here?
Well, I share your concern that we might be inadvertently ceding global leadership of very important trade issues. You know, we've been a leader for many years in terms of setting high standards. And I think it's very important we continue to do that because, again, the domestic issue is how do we create more jobs? And the best way to do that is to boost our exports. Because speaking of statistics, the Department of Commerce measures that for every $1 billion in new exports we can generate, we can create another 6,000 jobs. So how do we do that? Well, we've got to be open to imports because we use imports to then produce exports, whether it's aircraft engines for airplanes or transmissions for cars. We need to be able to continue to import so that our companies and our workers can export. And we also need trade agreements because that's the only way we can get other countries to lower the tariff and the non-tariff barriers that otherwise keep our goods and services out.
Specifically, one trade agreement that's already in place is NAFTA, which the president has gone after. Ambassador Hufbauer, $1.4 billion worth of goods cross the U.S.-Mexico border every single day, with the Secretary of State and the Secretary of Homeland Security both in Mexico today. What can they tell the Mexican authorities that have clearly been rattled by some of the rhetoric from President Trump as it relates to closing the U.S. deficit, potentially reopening NAFTA, but also trying to keep good relations with one of our strongest allies?
Well, to be constructive about this, there are certainly issues in Mexico where the Mexicans could relax their barriers, and as Ambassador Sapiro said, we would have more exports to Mexico. Natural gas is one. There's some agricultural products as well. Mexico doesn't allow small value shipments to come in the way we do, you know, retail stuff that people buy over eBay and so forth. So there are things Mexico can do, but the notion that we're going to somehow drastically slash the trade surplus that Mexico has with the United States, I don't know, by putting on some kind of import barriers, this would be very harmful. The fact of the matter, which I'm not sure the administration realizes, but they will be told this by Mexicans, is that 40% of every Mexican product which comes to the United States represents U.S. products which went to Mexico. I mean, you know, it's a very integrated relationship. And
one last question
cut
here.
off one side without hurting the other.
Madam Ambassador, about border adjustment, everyone's trying to figure out where that's headed. B of A has a note out this morning saying that the potential has arguably become less clear, but they add that they're looking to the president's speech at the joint session of Congress on Tuesday for potential clarity. What kind of odds would you give that we learn a lot more that night?
Oh, well, I hope we do, because this issue is really one of great concern. Again, we need to be open to imports, and we need to be able to boost how we export, because keep in mind, 95% of the world's customers live outside the U.S., so we cannot prosper by just trading with ourselves. We need to continue to be able to have strong and enforceable trade agreements, including NAFTA, which is due for an update. But it's not an agreement that we should think about abandoning, given how integrated the three economies are and how much it would hurt the U.S. company if we were not able to keep that agreement in place.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.